How sure are you that you can tell what is real online, not in a debate, not in a quiz, but in the quiet normal moments when you are tired, when you are scrolling, when you are half paying attention and your thumb keeps moving? Most of us like to believe we can tell. We tell ourselves we are not easily fooled. We can spot the fake photo. We can spot the obvious scam. We know that platforms push content for engagement. We know that chatbots can be wrong. And yet something strange happens in daily life. Even when we know these things, our body still reacts to what we see as if it is the world. Our mood changes. Our fears grow. Our sense of what other people think shifts. Our idea of what is popular changes. It is not only about what we believe on purpose. It is about what we absorb without noticing. And that is where the real tension lives. Because the internet is not just information. It is a mirror that moves. And the mirror does not only reflect us. It also shapes us. To understand this, picture a simple day. You wake up. You check your phone. You see a video that makes you laugh. Then you see a clip that makes you angry. Then you see a headline that makes you anxious. None of these things are chosen by you in a clean, simple way. They are selected. They are filtered. They are arranged. And the more you watch, the more the system learns what keeps you watching. It does not learn what is true. It learns what holds your attention. This is the context we live in now. A world where representation is not an innocent copy of reality. It is a product built to keep you inside the app. The first insight is the surface concept. We think we see the internet. But really we see a version of the internet. A version shaped by incentives. A version shaped by what gets clicks and comments and watch time. This is why extreme content rises. Not always because people are extreme in real life, but because extreme content is easy to react to. It is easier to share outrage than nuance. It is easier to dunk on someone than to sit with complexity. It is easier to watch a shocking clip than a calm explanation. So the algorithm learns. It learns that the loudest versions of reality create the strongest reactions. Over time you start to see more of that loudness. You begin to feel like it is everywhere. And then you begin to assume it represents the whole world. This is how a perception gap grows. You start to think other people are more extreme than they are. You start to think the other side is crazier than it is. You start to feel surrounded by enemies even if your real day is full of normal kind people. The internet does not create every fear. But it can amplify fear by showing you a narrow slice again and again until it feels like the whole pie. The second insight is the hidden assumption. We assume that knowing about bias protects us. We assume that if we say to ourselves this is curated, then we are safe. But the human mind does not work like that. A lot of influence happens before words. It happens at the level of attention, emotion, and repetition. You can know a photo is edited and still feel insecure when you see it. You can know a story is framed for clicks and still feel anger when you watch it. You can know that viral content is not representative and still start to believe everyone is talking about the same thing. This is why the word subconscious matters. You do not have to sign a contract with an idea for it to shape you. You only need to see it often enough. When you see the same kind of message again and again, your brain begins to treat it as normal. Not necessarily true, but normal. And what feels normal becomes your baseline. This is how a platform can bend your sense of reality without you ever choosing it. It is like living in a room with a tinted window. You can know the window is tinted. But you still see the world through that color every day. Now add a new piece. The representation of reality is not only images and headlines. It is also language itself. This is where things get even more subtle. When you use a chatbot, it feels like it is speaking your language. It uses familiar words. It uses calm sentences. It uses a helpful tone. So you assume it is like talking to a person, just faster. But the language you receive is still a model of language. It is built from patterns in data. It has habits. It has preferred phrases. It has blind spots. It can overuse certain words. It can sound more formal than most people. It can smooth out uncertainty. It can make ideas sound finished when they are not. And if you read that style every day, your own style can slowly change. Not because you want to copy a machine, but because language is contagious. Humans pick up words from friends, from family, from shows, from teachers. We mirror without trying. So when a machine becomes a daily partner in writing and reading, it also becomes a daily source of mirroring. You start to use its phrases. You start to structure your thoughts like its structure. You start to accept its way of sounding reasonable. And then something ironic happens. The machine is trained on humans, but humans also start to train themselves on the machine. A loop begins. The third insight is the structural pattern. Representation influences behavior. Behavior becomes data. Data trains models. Models produce new representation. And the cycle repeats. This can happen with politics. It can happen with shopping. It can happen with music. It can happen with slang. It can happen with what feels cool. It can happen with what feels dangerous. It can even happen with what feels possible in your life. Think about how trends form now. A few people like something. The platform notices a cluster. It gives it a label. It makes a playlist. It makes a category. Once there is a label, people start to argue about the label. People start to identify with it or against it. A vague taste becomes a solid thing. More creators join. More viewers watch. The platform sees growth and pushes it harder. What began as a small seed becomes a loud forest. And then everyone feels like it was always there. They forget the role of the system. They think the trend simply happened. But the system helped shape it. Not by inventing desire from nothing, but by choosing what desire to amplify. This matters because once amplification begins, it can change what people make. Musicians start making the sound that fits the playlist. Influencers start making content that fits the format. Businesses start making products that fit the viral image. And regular people start buying and posting because they feel left out if they do not. A representation becomes a map that people follow. The map then changes the land. This is the reframing. The internet is not just a window. It is also a steering wheel. We often treat feeds and chatbots as mirrors of what exists. But they are also tools that push reality in certain directions. And the push is not guided by truth. It is guided by attention and profit. Platforms want you to stay. They want you to click. They want you to watch. They want you to buy. So they amplify what performs. And what performs is often the most emotional, the most simple, the most extreme, the most visually obvious. Neutral reality is quiet. Complex reality takes time. Most real life is not designed for a short video. Most real life is not designed for a headline. So the platform simplifies. It turns life into a highlight reel. Then we start to confuse the reel with the full movie. This confusion can feel harmless when it is about snacks or toys or fashion. But it becomes serious when it shapes how we see other people. When it shapes what we think is normal. When it shapes what we think is allowed. When it shapes what we fear. When it shapes what we believe everyone else believes. Here is a simple, everyday example. You scroll and you see 10 posts about a topic. You think everyone is talking about it. You mention it to a friend at lunch. They say they have not heard of it. You feel surprised. You feel like they live on another planet. But the truth is you were both in different tunnels. Your feed was a tunnel. Their feed was a different tunnel. neither of you saw reality. You saw two different edited versions. Another example. You see a lot of angry comments under a video. You start to believe the world is angrier than it is. Then you go outside. You stand in line at a cafe. People are quiet. Someone holds the door for another person. A worker says have a nice day. The day is normal. The contrast is confusing. You might even think the calm world is fake and the angry world is the real one. Because the angry world is louder. Loudness can feel like truth. That is the trap. The same thing can happen with language. You read machine-written text all day at work. Polished. Balanced. Confident. Then you speak to a friend and they hesitate. They stumble. They repeat words. They change direction mid-sentence. You might start to feel that human talk is messy, or inefficient, or not smart enough. You might start to edit yourself while speaking. You might start to chase a smooth style. But smoothness is not always thinking. Sometimes it is just surface. Real thinking often looks like pauses. Like self-correction. Like, wait, let me try again. When we forget that, we start to judge ourselves and others by the wrong standard. We start to expect machine style from human minds. And that can make us less patient. Less curious. Less kind. So what do we do with this? The application to daily life is not to panic and delete everything. The application is to build a small habit of questioning. Not in a paranoid way. In a calm, grounded way. Ask simple questions that bring you back to reality. Why am I seeing this now? What emotion is it trying to pull out of me? If I saw 10 posts like this, what posts did I not see? What would the calm version of this topic look like? What would the boring version look like? If this is a trend, who benefits from me believing it is huge? If this is a chatbot answer, what kind of voice is it using? Is it confident because it is correct, or confident because it is trained to sound confident? What is missing? What would a human expert disagree with? What would a person in a different country say? What would my friend who thinks differently say? You do not need to answer all these questions. The point is to interrupt automatic absorption. To wake yourself up. Because the danger is not one bad post or one wrong answer. The danger is sleepwalking through a curated world and letting it become your inner world. Here is a practical image. Imagine you eat only one kind of food every day because it is the easiest to grab. At first you feel fine. But slowly your body changes. You feel tired. You feel weak. You crave more of the same food. You become stuck. Information diets work like that too. If you only consume what performs, your mind becomes shaped by what performs. You become more reactive. More extreme. More certain. More tired. And then the platform gives you more of the same because you respond to it. This is how feedback loops trap people. The way out is variety. Slowness. Real conversations. Long reading sometimes. Quiet time. Even boredom. Boredom is important because boredom is where your own thoughts show up. If you fill every empty moment with a feed, you never meet your own mind. And when you never meet your own mind, you become easier to steer. Optional deepening without new topics looks like this. Remember that reality online is not only distorted. It is also active. It tries to recruit you. It wants you to speak in certain ways. It wants you to share certain things. It rewards certain behavior. You feel this when you want to post something and you think, will this get likes? You feel it when you choose a photo that looks more dramatic. You feel it when you rewrite a caption to sound more certain. You feel it when you join an argument because it is entertaining. These small choices are not meaningless. They are how the system keeps building its version of reality. Every time you copy the platform logic, you strengthen the platform reality. Every time you pause and choose a quieter truth, you weaken that logic. This does not mean you must be serious all the time. It means you can notice when you are being shaped. It means you can keep a small space between you and the feed. A space where you can say, this is not the whole world. This is a product. This is a pattern. This is a selection. My life is bigger than this screen. My desires are more complex than this algorithm thinks. My language is more human than this style. My view of other people can be wider than this narrow tunnel. If you practice that space, you protect something precious. You protect your ability to see. Not perfect seeing, but honest seeing. You protect the part of you that can step back and ask what is going on here. And that part is what keeps you real. So the next time you feel certain that what you see online is simply the world as it is, will you pause for one breath and ask yourself why this version of reality is being shown to you right now?